Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is fadma ifkirn. First of all, I will thank my supervised Dr. Tamer Youssef on his effort with us throughout this period, as I would like to thank my partners and all students. So my project is about teaching reading. I'm going to talk about the first part, include definition, then definition of TEFL, including the definition and history of TEFL. So before introducing my speaker, I wish that his presentation will give you a clear understanding of teaching reading. So today, the issue of teaching English as a foreign language is becoming more important in the sphere of linguistics. This is because of it is based on teaching English for students whose mother tongue is not English. The study normally results in a good dealing with language by the learner. Our research will be on teaching reading as a part of TEFL. Effective reading is essential for success in acquiring a language. After all, reading is the basis on instruction in all aspects of language learning, using textbooks for language courses, writing, revising, developing vocabulary, querying, grammar, editing, and using computer-assisted language learning programs. Reading instruction, therefore, is an essential component of every language curriculum. Understanding some important facts about reading literacy and teaching methods is essential for providing effective instruction in reading. Now I will go to discuss the second part, definition of TEFL. First, definition. What is TEFL? This is a basic question which we are trying to answer. Actually, TEFL simply stands for Teaching of English as a Foreign Language. It is about teaching English to students whose mother tongue is not English. The discipline that studies TEFL is called applied linguistics. However, applied linguistics first concerns itself with how learning theories related to real-life problems. However, TEFL in Morocco has become an essential element within the framework of acquiring and studying other languages and subjects. We all know that French has occupied the mind because it is the first foreign language that counted with other allied varieties, especially English. This is due to colonial and geographical reasons, but during the last decades, more focus has been devoted to English. The National Charter for Education and Training stated that English should be given the state of the service. So in 2003-2004 academic year, English was launched at middle schools instead of only teaching it in high schools. The history of TEFL in Morocco tells us that it is not an old nation like another disciplines. Some say that TEFL is related to its programs to push the country to teach English to its citizens. The fact that TEFL is restricted to universities, high schools, and few private schools. The adoption of this standard basic approach has paved the way for teaching of English in good conditions. The integration of the four skills is not to be discussed since they complete one another. Speaking and writing, the productive skills go hand in hand with listening and reading, the receptive ones. Second, the history of TEFL. The English language teaching tradition has been subject to tremendous change, especially throughout the 20th century. Perhaps more than any other discipline, this tradition has been practiced in the various adaptations in language classrooms all around the world for countries, while teacher of maths or physics, that is the methodology of teaching math or physics. has to a greater or lesser extent remained the same. This is however the case with English or language teaching in general. As will become evident in this short paper, there are some milestones in the development of this tradition, which we will briefly touch upon in attempt to reveal the importance of research in the selection and implementation of the optimal methods and techniques for language teaching and learning. First, the classical method. In the Western world, back in the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, foreign language learning was associated with the learning of Latin and Greek, both supposed to promote their speakers' intellectuality. At the time, it was of vital importance to focus on grammatical rules, syntactic structure, along with the rote memorization of vocabulary and translation of literary texts. There was no provision for the oral use of the language under study. After all, both Latin and Greek were not being taught for oral communication, but for the sake of their speakers becoming scholarly or creating an illusion of erudition. Late in the 9th century, the classical methods came to be known as the grammar translation method, which offered very little beyond and insight into the grammatical rules attending the process of translating from the second to the native language. It is widely recognized that the grammar translation method is still one of the most popular and favorite models of language teaching, which has been rather stalwart and impervious to educational reform, remaining a standard and sensational methodology. In hindsight, we could see that its contribution of language learning has been notably limited, since it has shifted the focus from the real language to a dissected body of non-objective and preposition doing nothing to enhance a student's communicative ability in the foreign language. Second, the direct method. Also known as the natural method or the Dulles method, the direct method goes out of satisfaction with previous methods of instruction. According to it, classroom instruction is carried out entirely in the target language. Preferably native speaker, it is essentially the product of enlightened amateurism. Its drawback include the need for skilled native speaker, as teachers trying to run classes completely in the target language when sometimes a quick leap into first would solve problems more quickly. The designer methods of the 19th century. The Chomsky revolution in linguistics drew the attention of linguists and language teachers to the deep structure of language, while psychologists took account of the effective and interpersonal nature of learning. As a result, new methods were proposed which attempted to capitalize on the importance of psychological factors in language learning. David Nuna referred to this method as designer method on the ground that it took a one-size-fits-all approach. The last one, the silence way, based on the promise that teachers should be silent while students should product language in the classroom. The silence way depends on the colored, wooden road and pronunciation chart to aid students in figuring out language with minimal teacher's input. Thanks for watching.